Hi friends, hi family. Welcome to yet another exciting episode of Glassjaw Gundi, Navigating Life's Vulnerabilities. I'm your host, Ayanda, aka Gundi, and I appreciate you joining me here today. So listen, everyone, I am super excited about today's episode. I know I say that for every episode, but this one is particularly special because I have a guest in studio with me. He happens to be my very first guest. But also he just happens to be a very phenomenal actor. He's also a musician. You might know him from productions like Beyond the River, and most recently he played Ushaga in Shaga Ilembe. And but besides all the accolades and all the description, he's just generally a kind, warm-hearted person. So without rambling any further, allow me to introduce to you Lemogang Tsipa. Yay!
What's up?
Hi, Lemo.
Njan,
Yeah, Pilunjan.
yeah.
How are you? Are you doing good?
Yeah, I'm good. Just tired. Adult life is wild, but
Yeah. How's your week been?
Week's been a bit crazy. I'm prepping for a gig this coming week. We've been in studio, in and out, as well as like trying to finish some music videos and stuff for myself and some of the artists we work with. So yeah, it's been a crazy week, but good, productive.
Sounds productive, yeah. Okay, so I'm going to ask you just like a few questions just to break the ice and get to know you a little bit now.
Go for it.
It's just this and that, so you'll just choose whichever one describes you best. Okay, so for instance, are you a early riser or a night owl?
Night owl.
Is it?
I hate. Like at work, when we were shooting Ilembe, a lot of the call times were 4 a.m. and I fall asleep usually at around 12. So
That is brutal.
It's very rough.
Yeah. And do you prefer individual sports or team sports?
Both. I don't know.
Okay.
I think team sports definitely have their role to play if you have a good team, but when there's that guy in the team, it makes it challenging. Individual sports are very tough, but they require like a lot of discipline. So I think participating in individual sports, but watching team sports.
Oh, is it participating in individual? So would you say that you're more of a leader or like a follower?
Bit of both. I think I'm flexible. I think my instinct generally is to try point people in the direction. But then I also have been taught that you don't know everything. Yeah. And it's sometimes very good to humble yourself and allow other people to take charge.
To lead you. Yeah. No, that's true. And so like, let's say you were a superhero now. Would you rather choose to fly or be invisible?
Flying is so much more convenient. Invisibility is just creepy.
Yeah.
It's more villain. I mean, I'd do it if I was a thief, break into banks and hide. But as a superhero, I think flying is more useful.
Yeah. Okay. And then like, let's say there was like a time machine and you invented this cool time machine. Would you rather like travel back in time or into the future?
No. Future. Your time back was very tough for our kind.
Okay. No, we want to go back.
Unless maybe we go back to like Egypt and stuff. But I think we've had a very brutal past. I mean, there were some good moments. I think in Shaga's era, it was definitely. But I mean, I don't think I'd survive in that world. It was very brutal. Walking everywhere barefoot.
Yeah, and like just like not being wanted just
you know
because
what I mean?
You look a certain way.
Yeah,
that is so mean.
It's tough.
I can't believe we have from
So
that
I
era.
think the future will probably serve us better.
And without like sounding like too philosophical or whatever, like what does future Lemo look like?
Future Lemo, that's a good question. I mean, I imagine him to be, a person who's done a lot with his life and begins, giving back with all the things. I think a lot of people, not all, but a lot of people make the mistake of finding whatever success they do in life and not really helping other people up. So I can imagine myself really, trying to help the generation that comes after me and stuff to
so you've
achieve
got like
greater
a serving
heights.
spirit.
I think so. It's
That's quite admirable. Okay, awesome. So now that we're getting to know like who you are, how do you think your friends would describe you? Like if your friends would be like,
probably the best human being on the planet.
Probably.
No, I don't know. I think it depends on my friends. I've got different friends that we kind of relate to each other and orientate each other in kind of different ways. I have some friends of mine that I conduct business with, and they kind of see a more stricter side of me and a more like kind of diligent, disciplined. I've got like my homies who I just play games with and party with. They kind of know the more goofy side of me. So it really depends on which circle you ask.
Gosh,
But I think the general through line is somebody that's like kind of very hardworking and, you know, knows how to balance work and play.
Okay, so you know how to have fun, but you really know when push comes to shove.
No, you gotta make sure.
Yeah. And then speaking about working, I mean, the industry that you're in, particularly the acting one and now obviously the music one, it can be sometimes like all consuming, if I can say so.
Yeah.
And I mean, when you walked in here, when I met you, this is the very first time I'm meeting you, by the way, you seem like a very kind person, humble person, very grounded. You know what you're about. So how do you maintain like your character and make sure that the industry doesn't influence who you are and you don't like lose yourself in all of that?
Yeah, I think the people you keep around you are really an important force. You know, a lot of my friends are very grounding. No matter how big a project I work on or how much success or accolades I get, they always just remind me, you know, like they'll tell me of the stories we used to eat Movites and climb taxis together. And like, you know, they kind of bring everything back to reality. And I think also the world that we live in as friends, we kind of are always pushing each other. So no matter what level you like, I could be on Forbes tomorrow and have 1 billion in my account. That I'm okay, cool, that's great. But like, how are we leveling up? So they're always kind of pushing you to the next level, making you not kind of get consumed by where you are in the current moment.
Yeah. So you use like just your past experience to kind of just humble you.
Yeah. It's very important. And I think also upbringing. I think my parents definitely had a big role to play in forming, you know, my worldview and just understanding as well the volatility of the game. You know, you can be up today, down next week, and then back up again. So maintaining consistency in terms of having a level head, I think, is one of the most important things because the ups and downs are out of your control, but you're in control of yourself.
Yeah. Okay, now that's awesome. So you did mention your family as well and your parents and your upbringing, and you kind of maintain a very private life online. I mean, you just let us into like the creative stuff and all of that, which is great. But something that you have been vocal about and vulnerable about is your ADHD diagnosis when you were younger. Do you mind just like how was that growing up with ADHD? And now as an adult, how does it manifest?
Yeah, it was a superpower. It was, I don't want to lie. So primary school, I did exceptionally well. Even though like that's when it was kind of, I was diagnosed with it and moved to a school that could kind of cater to those needs, really much smaller classrooms, you know, all that kind of stuff. But it was a superpower in a sense that like I had this great skill of being able to speak and listen at the same time.
Yeah, that's
so awesome. I was like the naughtiest kid, always talking in class, you know, and then the teacher usually teaches just to, you know, kind of pull you out of your comfort zone, ask you, what did I just say? And I recite word for word what they said. Wow, you know.
Oh, so you would remember all of that stuff.
Yeah, it's
like
weird.
The focus would be like multi-dimensional.
Yeah. So I can retain information while receiving, I mean, give information while receiving information, which is really great. But then it kind of also made me low-key lazy, which I discovered in high school.
Okay.
Because I literally, in all honesty, I'm not recommending children do this at home. But the first time I honestly studied was before my matric final exam.
Really?
Literally. I just remembered like a lot of stuff. So it was a bittersweet kind of thing. Obviously, concentrating on one particular thing is an extreme challenge.
Yeah.
But then when I stimulate myself with multiple things at the same time, if I'm having a conversation, playing a game and reading, I can kind of absorb all of it. Yeah. So that's kind of how it manifested as a kid and continues to manifest now. So one of the challenges of our jobs is line learning. Yeah. So usually when I'm learning lines, I'll have a YouTube video open and be playing PlayStation and then read a couple and then put it down and then, you know, keep kind of re-stimulating my mind. Because if I honestly just pick up a script and try completely focus on this, I just end up zoning out and daydreaming about, you know, other things. So yeah, it's kind of been, that's how.
I think like lately that's kind of been the phenomenon with ADHD. I think most people are starting to realize that, I know lately like someone talked about having depression and then they realized that it's not really depression, but it's like just ADHD. And people who have it are actually just like super smart and they're just like a multi-dimensional person.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's all that bad. And do you think it kind of like sparks your creativity in terms of music as well?
Definitely. I think the for it to function at its optimum, it needs multiple stimuluses. So it kind of forces me creatively to always be comparing and consuming multiple things. So it's kind of helped me have an eclectic taste in music, because while I'm not always actively, like, for example, if I'm listening to music and learning lines, I'm not actively like on YouTube researching this. So sometimes my algorithm goes wild.
Yeah.
And then you discover some new musicians, I'll listen to some country, whatever guy.
Yeah. That's why those stories are like all over. Like 1 minute it's this thing, and it's music and it's acting. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, that's just my brain.
Yeah.
That's how it works. So I think it definitely helps in music in that sense. And then also, I'm a multi-instrumentalist, so I kind of would play. My first instrument was drums, and then I started learning some bass and then some guitar. But then ever since I got all the instruments, I'll play like drums for like 10 minutes and get bored, and then just pick up the bass and then start playing and then find something and then get bored and then do it with guitar. So it's kind of helped me really progress in my musical ways. Yeah.
Okay. And then with the instruments and the music, so I know you went to film school. Did you study music, or you just like self-taught and you just rolling on passion?
Yeah, self-taught, rolling on passion. I wish I studied music. I was kind of caught between the two when I left matric. Well, caught between three things. I was interested in studying anything to do with property, so like either architecture, town planning, interior design, something to do with like structures and buildings and like all these cool things. And then I had acting, obviously, which I was extremely passionate about, and then music. And then the two creative ones, every time I'd speak to people, because I'm from a small town, speak to people about it, they'd always just speak about how broke I was going to be in the future. I'm like, I want to be a musician. They're like, oh, wow, so you're interested in living with your parents the rest of your life? And acting. And then I think with acting, what kind of drew me in was I used to watch E-News on TV. It was still a big thing. Yeah. And then they had this
124. I was like obsessed.
Yeah, extremely. And then they had this one thing where they were speaking about Will Smith, and at the times he was, one of the big actors I looked up to, one of the few black guys really being
still is,
a massive superstar in America. And then I heard that guy got paid $20 million. I was like, what? I asked my dad, how much do you make? And it was not $20 million. I was like, maybe I'll try this out. So I'm still waiting on that $20 million check. But,
so we're still waiting for that.
It's
coming. It's coming.
But I can safely say that I am not broke.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which is a nice place to be.
Yeah, step one.
Yeah. So the music and the acting is paying off. Okay, so I want to know your single that you released, Ngatumala.
Yes.
In that you're just like singing about just how distraught and devastated you are about love and all of that. So I just want to know, is that purely for lyrical purposes?
No. These streets is rough here.
Yeah.
I mean, at the time when I wrote the song, I was definitely in a relationship, but when I released it, things were tough. So, I found myself in a position where I think, I don't know, initially it was, I don't know if I manifested it or what happened, but it was one of those hard moments. I remember when we performed it, I almost had to pull myself. I'm like, no, I can't cry, Doc Shaga, don't cry.
Well, I think maybe that's what makes it such a nice song. I always find that when artists kind of open themselves up a little bit in terms of their art form and just like have some skin in the game, then it makes it a little bit more personal, and then we can relate to it.
Yeah,
as opposed to just singing.
Yeah, I think my music is definitely that part of me that is letting people more into who I am, So a lot of the music that I do, maybe like 10% is like just random creative thoughts in the studio, but 90% of it is based on my life.
There's an intention behind the music. It's not just for like a summer award.
No.
But you would like a summer?
No, not really. I don't want to lie. For me, awards are cool, but like I find too many people are caught in the source of those things, and for me, I don't think the affirmation from competitions is what I need. I think for me, the audience is more important. If I can put it out and, you know, find a group of people, no matter how big, even if it's 10 people that really love the song and they connect to it and it changes them or helps them through life. I think for me, that's what's important. Awards are cool. The one award I did win, I just gave it to my mom. I'm like, I don't know what to do with this thing. You can have
put it in the room.
You know what I mean? So I think it's more for other people. But, you know, I appreciate if people do want to celebrate me.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they shouldn't, but I'm not like, oh my God, until I get a summer. Yeah.
Awesome. And then, so like you dabble a little bit in R&B, and you grew up in like a 2-parent household, and you have like 2 sisters, I think.
Yes.
So then how has that kind of like shaped your views and your opinions surrounding relationships and just like family?
Well, it's made me a hopeless romantic. I believe in love like a lot from watching my parents.
No, that's beautiful.
No, it's beautiful because I mean I've seen it work successfully, and I think my parents were marriage counselors growing up, so I've seen different sides because I was always the kid whenever they'd be doing counseling of couples that would offer to bring the biscuits and the tea to get the tea. You know? No, I was just always curious about, you know, life and relationships and things. And I think a lot of the teachings that I got from them and just observations of their relationship was stuff that I feel, you know, can help me as well in future. And hopefully I'll be able to pass that information on to other people when I am one day successfully married. But I think it really shaped my worldview as positive. I know a lot of my friends didn't grow up with both parents. Most of the time, it's often the fathers that weren't there. Very few times it's not the mothers. So I think having a very strong father figure, and he was kind of like a pillar in the community, was just also hopeful and kept me optimistic about being a man, because a lot of the narrative around men is quite negative, as, you know, men are trash, men are this, men are that. And I really grew up around a really respectable, you know, super decent, you know, great contributor to society. So it kind of helped me believe in myself to be something like that, you know. And having sisters in the game, I also understood, or still understand, the challenges that girls go through, because they tell me about their boy troubles, or like even little things. Like I remember at night, like when my parents would have to, you know, we need to get bread, they'd send me, and I'm just like, why me? And like you grow up and realize, okay, after dark it's trickier for girls, you know, especially in South Africa. But, you know, they've kind of given me a very sober kind of broad view of the world.
Okay. And so you did mention that your father was like a pillar in the community, and so you grew up in the church, am I correct?
Very true.
Okay. And so now spiritually, are you like spiritually inclined? Like, where are you?
Hey, I'm in the middle. I'm in the middle. I think I consumed a lot of, you know, different things as soon as I left the house. I've always been an extremely curious person. And the church is a really great, you know, place and has a lot of, you know, great teachings to offer. But I found myself in like a weird predicament, questioning, because, I just hit this weird stage of wokeness and just, what does Jesus mean to black people, but white people? You know what I mean? And that whole kind of conversation. And then I just kind of drew a conclusion of, you know, personal relationship between yourself and God. And you don't necessarily have to follow a traditional route, because even the traditional route at some point wasn't the traditional route. You know, cultures and things kind of shift and evolve, and I've kind of found my own little path.
Okay. No, that's promising. I want to bring it a little bit back to the music.
Yes.
So what are you working on now currently? What singles are you about? Like, what's happening music-wise?
So my music is extremely exciting. Like I've been threatening people for 2 years about dropping music. I have probably like 150 songs in the vault now. So I've just been really working on refining my craft, defining who I am as an artist, because I think it's the most challenging thing about a person in my position is that people I've kind of received like all this recognition for one particular type of art, which is the acting, and people are really they've because of the way I've presented myself in that space, they've kind of boxed me in a very particular way. Like people, assume I'm a thespian, I'm a super serious dude, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
because of the roles I take or whatever. So with my music, I'm trying to let them into the other side of me that, you know, I haven't really showed them. So it's kind of eclectic. And as well, my music reflects the style of music I like. I did allude earlier to the fact that, like, I can consume from country music to pop music to hip hop to mascadi, you know what I mean? So my music definitely is going to reflect that. I'm just undecided as to what the next project must be. I'm working on 3 sounds simultaneously. I've got a hip hop tape, I've got an Afrobeats tape, and then we've got I don't know, it's like some African, I don't know what, world music. I don't know. It's like very like musical, very tribal inspired, you know?
Yeah.
So of these 3, I want to shoot visuals for all of them to just make sure that when I do present it, it's like kind of holistic and not just like, oh, that song was dope, I wish it had a video. It must already come as a complete, you know, package.
Exciting.
So yeah, me and the team are working away at that.
No, it's hard to say. It sounds like, you know, when you just don't know what to expect and you're like a bit terrified, and then you get whatever it is and it's just like good anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're really excited to see what you have in store for us music wise.
Thank you.
And then so I just want to know, bring it back to the acting, where is that? And also, like, I hate it when people ask other people, like, what do you like more, acting or music? Because you probably can't choose now.
Well, it's my son or my daughter. I love them both.
But right now, would you say that you feel more fulfilled in your music than in your acting, or?
No, I think in my acting, I could say I feel more fulfilled in the sense that I've because I'm a strong believer in unselfish art. I think a lot of artists, which is not a wrong thing, make art for themselves, you know, but I believe art is meant to be shared, you know, with other people. And I feel that my acting part has been shared a lot. I think people are kind of, you know, are aware of that. So I feel fulfilled in the sense that, like, I'm not moving in that space trying to prove myself, trying to show who I am. Like, people kind of get the picture. Okay, this is the type of dude he is.
Yeah.
So I'm really hoping to get that done in the music space now. So kind of pushing a little bit away from acting and leaning a bit more into music, but not saying that I'm going to say no to roles.
Yeah.
Unless obviously I don't connect with the piece, but yeah.
And like, speaking about not connecting with a piece, have you ever had to like turn down a project?
Many times.
Oh, really?
yeah. I kind of have a bad rep for it in some people's books. But, you know, I think I had the fortune of RIP to the late Manili. She's like one of the biggest legends of the South African film game. I kind of met her early on in my career, and she really took a liking to me and ended up representing me at some point. And in our business and work relationship, she kind of took on the role of mentor. Okay. So she taught me the importance of selecting roles. She taught me the importance of you know, just being picky and the power of saying no in order to shape your career. And I think she really helped me a lot, because there's a few projects that she turned down on my behalf when she was still around. And at the exact moment, I was so mad at her. I was like, Mama, what? This is money. What do you?
Yeah, because
and then I watched them and I was like,
oh my gosh, thank goodness.
Okay, thank you for your wisdom, you know. So I think it's really helped me develop my discernment for projects that suit me, because also sometimes it's not even about whether a project is bad or not. Certain things, if they don't suit you and aren't for you and you take them, they're just gonna be terrible because it wasn't meant for you.
You won't be able to execute it the way.
Yeah. And for me, I'm very glad that I'm not saying all my work has been perfect, but like most of the projects that I've worked on have been stuff that I look back on and I'm very chuffed.
Yeah. And looking back on like stuff that you've done, what do you think, like what stands out as like the pinnacle of like, what's that one really like?
Well, I can't. I'd be a fool not to say Shaga. But
I think that one, that's so iconic.
Yeah, I think that was just the moment for South African television, for Zulu people, for just so many moments, just performers, just black people in general. Like, it was just such a beautiful beautiful piece.
Yeah, but you're also great in Beyond the River. And
no, that's what I was going to get to that. So without, it's weird. It's like Shaka for me feels like if I was a soccer player, I just went to Madrid and played Champions League.
Yeah.
But then I had like really good moments at Man City or like, whatever. So, for me, Beyond the River.
I know nothing about soccer references, by the way.
Okay, never. Well, you guys would. So like, for example, Beyond the River for me was such an amazing moment because that was also like the first time I got to play a lead character.
Yeah.
And with the help of Moon as well, because she kind of really championed me for that project. And I remember lying in the audition. I was like, yeah, I can canoe. And I didn't know how to canoe. But I was so desperate to get the work. And I'm very glad that I told that lie. But they eventually taught us how to canoe. And I think one of the things that really touches me about that movie is the fact that now I think in IEP schools it's part of LO or something. But I just remember
the movie.
It's wild. So I got this trainer, the guy that helps me get my body and stuff in shape. And then he's got other clients. And one of his clients is like this Jewish kid that goes to one of these schools in their local area. Mm-hmm. And he just came up to me. I was like, oh my gosh, he goes, we study here at school. I'm like, what? What do you mean?
Yeah.
It's so wild. But for me, it's like, it's kind of low key getting to that giving back thing because one of the people that really helped inspire me to get into this art form and to be interested is Dr. John Gundi. I think because I studied him in my textbook, and he was literally alive. So I'm reading this guy, looking at these pictures, going on Google, and he's like there. Yes, and he's, you know what I mean? It makes it that much more real. And I think that's what helped me, even though I only met him well into my career, but it helped me dream and understand that as a South African, it's possible to have an impact on the world.
And I think that's what makes it so relatable because even the character that you played was a real person and it's a real story. Yeah. So it's only fitting that kids in LO are studying that because there's an important message behind that. I think. But I haven't really seen you, or maybe I'm just I haven't seen it, but I haven't seen you in Boma comedy, maybe a little bit of romance, but not too much.
Yeah.
Is that something that you shy away from, or you want to get into it?
Well, so I think one of the lessons that I learned early in just my personal life before I kind of had a career was usually what people first consume you as is where they will kind of keep you. So I used to be the class clown. Okay. A lot. And the problem was in primary, let me start with primary school. I was a class clown in primary school, used to make fun of people. I was that guy. Okay. Called me if it's time to diss people. Yo, your mama so whatever.
Wow.
I excelled at that. And then I got to grade 7 and then I became a prefect.
Okay.
And people didn't want to take me seriously. I'm like, okay.
Because you've established this record of being
and then I'd even, once I started growing a little bit more, got into high school, I'd look at the same kind of thing with comedians. I think Eddie Murphy is one of the few comedians that kind of was able to navigate dramas and comedy, and people kind of take him with equal seriousness. But a lot of the other guys were struggling, through that. So I found that I don't want to be. I mean, it's cool to be funny, but now when I'm 40 with my kids, when people walking up to me the grocery store, I don't want any of that. So I was like, okay, let me at least establish myself as a serious person, which I feel like I've 10 years in, I feel like I'm semi-established. I think people kind of understand who I am. So now I'm definitely trying to explore those other avenues. Rom-coms, I'm not sure. They just...
Why not?
I don't know.
Maybe we need you in a rom-com because the ones that are out there currently, oh my gosh. Maybe
no comment. I can't say it.
Sorry, that's just my opinion.
No, it is. Yeah. I don't know, man. Romantic things... I don't know. I'll see. It has to be really compelling. I think the thing about romantic pieces for me that I don't like, they usually don't have depth in reality. They kind of everything's the setup for the happy ending. And I just feel like, being 33 and having been in relationships before, I've understood, 33 and I'm married, understood that it's not
That
always.
sounds like a title of a rom-com.
Yeah.
33 and unmarried.
It's not always, the romantic kind of ending. So
Yeah.
for me, I'd really love to be part of, a romantic piece that is kind of honest to how relationships are and the
One that
dynamics.
ends
And
in disaster.
not necessarily, no, it can end happily, but I'm just saying the moments inside. And for me, like, whenever I watch the movies, it's always the convenience of like the weird things of like, oh my God, you're dating this girl and then she slept with your brother who's your ex. It's too, no man, the world is very big. It doesn't all have to happen.
True.
You know what I mean? So for me, I'm kind of more interested in something that reflects a bit more of life, as I understand it.
Yeah. Okay, that's interesting. And can you tell us, I don't know if you can, about like Shaga 2, is that coming up or what's happening there?
Yeah, I could tell you. So Shaga 2 is happening.
Okay.
And Shaga is being Shaga.
Is it?
And,
okay. I can't wait. When
that I can't
That
do.
you
So
can't tell.
I'm trying to like now navigate. I've just put myself in a corner by saying I'm going to talk about it. But I think a lot of what we'll see in the Shaga that comes out is his journey and growth into the person that we know him to be in the history books. I don't want to give too much source away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you also shot that like long ago, like in winter and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. No, but I'm pretty sure that when it does come out, there will be a lot of press coverage.
Yeah.
And
I hope so.
So what I wanted to get is just to like know you more on a personal level outside of the acting and all of that. And I think, that's what I got. The Shaga stuff, all of that will be covered.
Yeah.
And I mean, I wish you all the best in your music. I can't wait to see what you have in store for us. So thank you for joining me.
Thank you. It was an absolute pleasure. And opening a cooking channel. No, I'm lying.
I was going to be like, that ADHD. Yeah.
Yeah. No,
All right. No, awesome. Thanks, guys. So please do like, share, and subscribe and do all of those nice things. And I can't wait to catch you on my next episode. Bye.